Hi Guy! With all the talk of portable gaming that's going on at the moment, especially with the Switch just around the corner and what it'll mean for several franchises, I just wanted to take a look back at the whole Pokemon franchise. It's more like a lifestyle now, if anything. It's been going for that long. But, I mean, I want to look at this more in the sense that, is the whole thing a waste of time? My involvement with Pokemon I played maybe my first introduction with I think I played Pokemon Yellow. That was the very first time I ever played it, and it never really clicked with me at the time because I think I was about 18, maybe 19 years old, and it was very much a younger teen, like school and younger ages sort of thing. I mean, I loved RPGs, but again, it just never clicked with me at the time. And it was some time later, and I thought I'd give a proper look at the series, and I saved up for ages, and I didn't have much money at the time, and I think it was the first GBA game, which was, I think that was Pokemon Leaf Green, or was it Sapphire? Anyway, I forget. It's God's sake, it's about 18 years ago. But yeah, I mean, I can remember picking up at the time, and then I played it probably a good 10 to 15 hours, and it just didn't click with me. Now, every generation of handheld system, like effectively all the Game Boys and DS and all the rest of it, each single time I've tried to give the Pokemon games a go just to see how I get on with them. And I always get a good distance into it, and I really like the idea of collecting all the different Pokemon or monsters, or pocket monsters, whatever you want to call them. But I don't know, I think you've got to have that level of OCD in the back of your brain that you've got to want to collect everything. Now, I get that with some games, but others, it has to click with me, and Pokemon never has. So I'm probably in a very unique position. I can see it's a good game, but personally, I don't get the joy behind it. Now, one thing it does remind me of, because the things, these games don't come out, they're not coming out like every 6 months. There's not a new iteration, or like, say, like the Madden series, or them sports titles like FIFA, where it's coming out every single year. They do spread them out a fair bit, which is always a good thing. But one thing I have noticed in all the copies I've played as time goes on, obviously, it's a style of game. They are very similar. I mean, you go back 20 years ago, it's obviously a lot more basic. But like throughout all the early games, things like the bicycle, similar monsters they'd always add new monsters every single time. And I think they've returned some of the older ones as it went on, just to pad it out effectively. I might be wrong there. This is my Pokemon knowledge really scraping the bottom of the barrel, but. As each game went on, they added smaller and smaller changes. They'd have new islands and things like that, and a different story, of course. But the underlying game was always still the same, and they've not really done up the battle system until recent years. And I can understand that to one point of view, because again, this is a massive, massive franchise, and they do not want to cut the noses off despite the. Yeah, because if they do, they will lose a hell of a lot of money every time they bring out a film or a new game. I mean, the last one sold an absolute shed loads of titles. I think it's become one of the biggest selling 3DS games in years. So obviously they're never going to want to abandon that, but at the same time you think, when are they going to improve it? I mean, I can remember back in it must have been the GameCube days, and everyone was really excited, because the GameCube was it felt more of a portable sort of console. I think that was down to the actual physical design of it. It was a lot easier to cart that thing around, because it wasn't a massive console. It's not like a PS2 or an Xbox, where you need a backpack or a rucksack to carry them things around with you. It was nice. It was nice. It was small. It was good, and nice and compact, and I think it gave, and as they were all the GBA plug-in stuff they were hinting at, and because they did to some degree with like the Pac-Man games and the 4-player stuff with Zelda, and they were pushing down that path, but it never really paid off. But it seemed to be the perfect time to do like a Pokemon style game, like an RPG one. I think they did like Pokemon, is it Colosseum? I forget the one. It was basically you could import your GBA games, all your save files and stuff, and play with the monsters and things like that. And it's a great idea, but people have always been crying out for like a handheld version. That's been going on pretty much since a console version, pretty much since the whole franchise started, and it's always been very strange, or it seems that way, that they won't go down that route. I mean, their argument always seems to be, oh, well, it's a handheld game. We want to keep it to that market because it ties in with what they sell as devices, which is fair enough. But then it wouldn't take too much to get either a spin-off studio, invest some more money, and maybe set someone up to come up with more elaborate home console games. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens now with the whole thing with the Switch, because the whole this changes the home console side completely, because it's a home console and it's a handheld at the same time. I mean, they're both interchangeable, and they've more hinted at, they've not said as much, but as the 3DS dies off, there's always been this talk that maybe the Switch should just become their standard system, the handheld and the home one tied together, and that they'd move away from it. I think they're still a bit upset, but a bit worried about what will happen to that whole system selling if they do drop it off like that, because you pretty much, you're destroying a market there. So they've been hinting that, oh, well, we're not just going to let the 3DS die off. If the Switch doesn't do well, there will be a successor to the 3DS, because that's where most of the handhelds is where they make the money. But yeah, what the I'm sorry, a bit of a long way of saying it. But as we get these super powerful console now, and you've got a Pokemon game on it and stuff, and then you start thinking, well, is this going to be the home console game people wanted all this time? But I don't know. They still make money from it, but as a whole, should they be giving the Pokemon series a rest? As I don't play them too deeply, I can only see from my bits, from commenting from the outside and my odd dabble. I've pretty much played every other title on each system. I always get them. I remember getting it on the DS, the 3DS, and I'll probably try one on the Switch as well, just to see how things have changed. I mean, the biggest change up was when they went from the whole top-down style view. I mean, today it was like an isometric style. Now it's more of, in the recent ones, are more like a 3D style look. It looks like a PS2 game, basically. I mean, that's a great way for the whole thing to go. It should be, as they're pushing it on. But again, it's that underlying engine is very, very similar. It doesn't seem to be changing. They seem to be tacking extra bits on as it goes on, and to me the whole thing is starting to feel a bit tired. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm sure I've got a lot of watchers who are pretty much into the Pokemon games. Maybe you grew up with them and it was your series of choice. I mean, do you think it needs to take a break? Do you think they pushed it too far? I mean, yes, there's money there, but I'm not sure how it's doing money-wise over a long period. Has that been edging off over time? Like, I don't know anything about the films, but I think there's been about 10 or 11. I had a quick look before I started recording. And I'm pretty sure most of them are terrible. They are Pokemon movies after all. I think I maybe saw the first or second one years and years and years ago. It wasn't for me, obviously, so I never really carried it on as a series. But I don't know what the overall success rate of them films are they still just as crazy mad selling tickets as they were, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago? 20 years for a game system and for series. I think the only other one I can think of that's been going that long would be something like the Ultima series. Or possibly, well, I wouldn't say Mario, because it changes so much over the years. But it's interesting to see, to compare it to different things. And in a way, I think this is the same sort of feeling I've been getting with Assassin's Creed, because I mean, I've played the first game of that, didn't like it, loved the second game, loved the semi sequels, because they were all like Assassin's Creed 2.1, 2.2. They had effectively like spin-off side titles to them, but you get what I mean. But Pokemon, I mean, it changes enough, I think, every single time to come up with a new release, but at the same time you think, well, are they actually changing enough to satisfy that urge that this is a new game, it is something fresh, or is it just becoming a bit drawn out and boring, and it's time to give it a break? I don't know. I mean, how long a break would suit something like that? I mean, with Assassin's Creed, I've always felt, the last few years especially, they need about 2 to 3 years off to give that a break. I don't know if that should apply to Pokemon. I mean, stick it in the comments below, guys. I'm interested to see what you think. Basically, should Pokemon die off? Is it about time it had a break? Let me know your thoughts. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and please look forward to another video soon.